Alright, welcome everybody to lesson 1.3. Your objective for today is to give examples of rates and convert those rates into unit rates. I just said the word rate a lot. Let's figure out what that really means. Well, a ratio is pretty much a rate, but there's a big difference. Okay, so what is the difference between a rate and a ratio anyways? Well, a ratio is comparing the numbers 3 to 5. Okay, but the rate actually has units. For example, I could travel 3 miles in 5 hours. Alright, this is 3 miles per 5 hours. That is my rate. It's not a unit rate yet, okay? I'm just showing you the difference between a ratio and a rate. With a rate, you have to have your units written down. You could make them smaller. I could have written the whole word out. I could have said miles per hours, alright? But it's okay if we just leave them as B. So, here's the big thing to write down in your notes today, and don't forget it. So write this down right now in your notebook. A unit rate always has a denominator of 1, okay? Except, well, I shouldn't have said always. I'm going to cross that out and say most of the time. You'll see why at the end it does not sometimes, okay? Most of the time it has denominator 1. Let's just think about it as always for right now. So I have to turn this 2 hours. So right here my rate is for every 6 miles, it takes me 2 hours. Okay, I can go 6 miles in 2 hours. A unit rate has a 1. So how did I turn this 2 hours into a 1? Okay, we're dealing with division and multiplication. You're not addition and subtraction. So to turn your denominator into a 1, you just have to divide it by itself. Alright, so 2 divided by 2 would equal 1. Whatever I do to my bottom, I do to my top. Whatever I do to my denominator, I do to my numerator. Okay? You have to do that. So I have to do 6 divided by 2. And 6 divided by 2 equals 3. Alright? So I turn my rate of 6 miles per 2 hours into 3 miles per 1 hour. Okay? You always hear about miles per hour. You don't hear about miles per 2 hours. So that's why we turned it into a unit rate. Okay? With a 1 on the bottom. Let's convert these rates into unit rates. So here's a little quick story. I'm Joe, and I ate 45 oranges in 5 minutes. So what is my ratio or my rate? It's 45 oranges per 5 minutes. Put an O for oranges and M for minutes. 45 oranges in 5 minutes. Well, I know I have to turn this into 1. And how did I turn 5 into 1? I divided it by 5. Okay, 5 divided by 5 equals 1. So it's 1 minute. What's 45 divided by 5? That's simply just 9. So if I turn this rate of 45 oranges in 5 minutes, if I turn it into a unit rate, that looks like 90. Maybe I should write the whole word out up here. I can eat 9 oranges in 1 minute. As you could tell, I could probably do that. 9 oranges per 1 minute is my unit rate. Alright, because I ate so many oranges, I had to do a little walking. Joe walked 10 miles in 2 hours. So that's 10 miles per 2 hours. Good for me. Okay, I have to turn it into a unit rate, so right away I'm going to, I'll make that equal sign and turn this into a 1 hour. How do I do that? 2 divided by 2 equals 1. What's 10 divided by 2? 10 divided by 2 equals 5. Alright, so I could walk 5 miles in 1 hour. That's not bad. Right? Walking 5 miles, that's a pretty quick walk, I think. So there's my unit rate with the 1 on the bottom. Alright, so here's a situation when you're going to not have a 1 on the bottom, and you'll see why. What happens when the denominator is greater than the numerator? Okay, in this case, I could walk 18 miles in 30 minutes, or maybe run 18 miles in 30 minutes. All right, but that's kind of impossible too. Maybe I could drive 18 miles in 30 minutes. So if I were to divide this, all right, 18 over 30, if I were to divide this to get 1, 30 divided by 30 equals 1. Well, what's 18 divided by 30? Well, it'll look like 18 over 30 over 1. That does not, I know you can't really see that too well. It looks like this, 18 over 30 over 1. That looks really confusing, okay? So I'd probably have to turn this 18 over 30 into a decimal and then keep going, put it over 1, but that's going to be a lot of time. So to save you some time, let's reduce it first. They both have a common denominator of 6. They both have a common factor of 6. Their greatest common factor is 6. So 18 divided by 6 equals 3. 30 divided by 6 equals 5. All right, so I'm not at a unit rate yet because for every 3 miles it takes me 5 minutes. All right, but as you can see down here, so to turn it into a unit rate, it's 3/5 to 1 minute, okay? So all I did is take this and I put to 1 minute next to it. All right? It might be sort of confusing for you, but if your denominator is greater than your numerator, you just simplify it. All right? And to turn into unit rate, you just have to say to 1 minute or to whatever the thing you have to put it to there. Okay? So 1 minute in this case, but it could be hours, it could be days, it could be anything. Okay? Alright, so your turn now. You have to turn each rate into a unit rate. And unit rate, right? That would be the proper way. So right here you have 44 points and 4 quarters. I'll start the first one for you. It would be 44 over 4. Don't forget to label 44 points and 4 quarters. You have to turn this into a unit rate, so you know you're going to have a 1 on the bottom. And 4 divided by what equals 1. Do it to your numerator as well. Then 125 feet in 5 seconds. Notice number 3, you have one of those sticky situations where you have 12 meters in 28 seconds. It's going to look like this, 12 over 28, 12 meters for 28 seconds. All right, so you're going to have one of those situations where you're going to have to just reduce it by using the greatest common factor and then put, not to seconds, all right, so put to 1 second at the end of that one, okay? Kind of helps you with that one. Now some people might want to just say, oh, if I have to turn in a unit rate, let's just switch this to 28 seconds over 12 meters. I guess that's going to be the same thing. It's going to be true. All right, so that would work as well. But let's just stick with what we practiced today. Okay? Good luck, and we will see you soon.